Hi everyone, I am so excited today to be talking about the Apache Spark 4.1 release. So over the last holiday break, tail end of 2025, Apache Spark had a 4.1 release that included a ton of quality of life features and huge features as well that really changed the way that we fundamentally look at and work with Spark pipelines. So this is really important if you are a Spark user, if you use Spark on at least like a daily or weekly basis, because a lot of this stuff is going to be affecting your work in particular and will allow you to actually become more efficient and productive in Spark if you decide to leverage some of these features. So the first one that I'm going to be talking about is Spark Declarative Pipelines. So Spark Declarative Pipelines will actually allow you to leverage declarative programming language versus typical imperative language in Spark. So typically the Spark pipeline authoring experience forces you to save a bunch of intermediate data sets, and then you have to manually trigger all these different pipelines. If there's an issue, you have to retry and sort of debug and infer all of the dependencies yourself. What Spark Declarative Pipelines allows you to do is focus on the actual transformation logic that you want to use, and then declare the table state that you want using this new decorator syntax. And this includes, a ton of intermediate like material views, things like that, streaming tables. So then what happens is that you can trigger using, the pipeline CLI, but all of the dependency graphs, the parallelism, like that multi-threading, all of the retrying and debugging is actually done by Spark now versus by you, which is awesome because if you're using Spark in multiple different ways, this can make debugging and managing Spark much easier. And I think it's just a cleaner way to write pipelines overall that makes it much more reproducible, especially if you're working at large production scales. The second feature that I want to talk about is the Spark Structured Streaming Real-Time Mode. So real-time mode now allows you to support using Spark sub-second latency and really, high pressure operational use cases that require you to do real-time processing. And if you want to use the same tools I use for batch and streaming, you can now extend Spark functionality to include this as well. This also includes ingesting from Kafka streaming sources, things like that. And in 4.1, there's a lot of this sort of baseline work that's been done to support all of this, including extensibility later on. So do highly recommend if you are a large operational workload user, like you have a lot of use cases like that in your organization, to take a look at Spark's new RTM mode, because I think it's going to be a really big game changer for you. The next really big feature that I want to talk about is actually with PySpark. So PySpark now supports UDFs and UDTs in an Arrow native format. This is really awesome because previously with Python data sources, you used to have to do some sort of conversion to Pandas before, which would actually be a little bit slower. But now if you want to, you can actually leverage UDTFs and UDFs that leverage, again, the native PyArrow format. So then you don't have to do this sort of in-memory conversion, which makes it much faster for Spark to operate and just feels like a much cleaner workflow for users under the hood. So again, if you're really interested in that sort of stuff, if you use a lot of Python data sources, if you're very deep into the Python ecosystem, this is an evolving space. And so we definitely want to see where this goes in the future, but definitely leverage Python's new data sources in Spark. Let us know what your benchmarks are, because I think everybody's really curious to see, where Spark goes and how the Rust ecosystem itself will also develop over time. And Arrow is, of course, a really common industry standard that we're seeing these days. So it's really awesome to see Spark and PySpark leverage this ecosystem. Now, moving on into Spark Connect. So Spark Connect has been around for a little minute now, and Spark ML has now joined that family. So Spark ML is now available in Python clients for Spark Connect, which allows you to leverage things like model caching and memory management, all of these different things that will allow you to leverage, again, that Python AI ecosystem using Spark Connect, which is really important because if you're using Connect, you're likely working with different Spark versions, you're likely working with large deployments of Spark running on many different distributed systems. And so it's really important that if you're working with a lot of these ML workflows, that you're able to leverage the Connect ecosystem, because Connect really is a really easy and seamless tool. So good luck. And if you end up using it, please let us know. And last but not least that I want to highlight in this video are all of the Spark SQL improvements that we're seeing. So Spark SQL has now included recursive CTE support, which is really awesome, but also SQL scripting. So if you're a really big SQL user, if you love SQL and Spark together, This is going to be really big for you because then, your quality of life in terms of what you can do and how you can leverage SQL within Spark has just increased exponentially, right? Included in this update as well is support for the variant type. So if you don't know what variant is a new basic primitive data type that was introduced in Parquet, Delta Lake, as well as Iceberg. So these are the three major table formats that you're looking at here, and it allows you to work with semi-structured data. So you can leverage things like shredding, if you want to extrapolate different columns out, or if you want to work with JSON-like data or JSON data in itself, XML data, etc. So all these things now are natively supported within these table formats, but also now are leveraged and supported in Spark and Spark SQL. So please do, if you're working with large data, if you're working with open table formats, take a look at this update because I think it's going to be something that's really important for you if you are really looking to leverage all of these features. So thank you so much. This has been an amazing release for Apache Spark 4.1. All the contributors, all the PMC members, everybody who's been working super hard on this release for a really long time. I am humbled by seeing all of this work in this release. This project is amazing. It's so lively and it's doing so much every single release. If you're really interested in hearing more, because again, we just reached the tip of the iceberg here, do check out the release notes, check out the official distributions, and of course, if you're interested, you can always join the dev mailing list, you can always join the community, file issues, whatever you want. Apache Spark is open source, and we're really excited to be able to have the community join in and benefit from all of these features that are coming out, including myself. All right, well, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you around later. We'll be doing more deep dives on all these individual features if you are interested in them, instead of just like a high-level overview. And if you want to see more of this kind of content, please do let us know. Thank you.